Alright, so I figured I'd start the garden tour out right over here in the strawberry patch. Now when you look at them, they're flowering very late, and there's a pretty simple explanation for this. Well, basically they're doing late season flowering, which will, in and of itself, it's okay as long as the flowers aren't too bad. And here are our blueberries. I got a whopping 1 blueberry out of the garden this year. That's it, yeah. It's very impressive. They're currently blueberry sticks, but you know what? This is only their 2nd year. I don't blame them. Yeah, we'll talk about the sunflowers in a minute. But let's continue talking about this. Because this row, like, these are our June bearers, and what they'll do is they'll only come up with, like, during like June and July, but everyone else, you get a harvest from like May to June, and you get another harvest like September to October. I don't remember what those were called, but you know what? They're good. Alright, now let's talk about the gourds and tell me, should I do like a whole separate video talking about gourds? Because I need to dedicate an entire section just because there's so much to talk about here. Here's one of them right here. I thought that one ripped out just because of how funny the shape is. Like, look at this thing. Look at the shape of this thing right here. Just, it's not in a really, like, good shape, but you know, it's so be it. Alright, so here's a green bean right here. Not yet ready since I can't pull it off immediately, but you know what? There are a couple of them in there, and that is respectable. You have some, I'd rate this like a 5 out of 10 in the weirdness scale. These are a whopping 0 out of 10 because they are not weird at all. Those right there, they're not even that weird. They're like normal shaped pumpkins, except a whole lot smaller. Alright. One thing I noticed is that they follow a lot of the shapes of the flowers. So look at this. These are like a whole 12 out of 10 on the weirdness scale. And look at the flower. They look real similar. So here's another. Yeah, I saw one on the pepper. Let me show you that real quick. But yeah, the gourds are coming in along with the other stuff. And I will say I'm pretty proud of the gourds this year. And here's another one right here just on top of the peppers. Alright, so here we are. We're over at the eggplants. And I think this one right here might be ready for harvest. But you know what? Still getting its color there. And you know what? They're still flowering. Oh, and that's what happens when you let an a-hole be the leader of your chicken flock right there. Is this a gourd? Because what the? There's literally a gourd on the eggplant. They're everywhere. Literally everywhere. And yeah, here's another one right here. Except this one has only 1 flower that is currently visible to me, and that's that one. There's an egg, not an eggplant, there's a gourd right there. And then here's the zucchini. They're flowering, but no, I haven't really gotten any big ones out yet this month. But I'm expecting that we will get one more. And well, this beetle right there, it's got to go. Because nobody, and I mean nobody, and their mother likes those beetles. Those might be potato beetles. I think they're squash beetles, though, since zucchini is a type of squash. I think I saw one earlier today, but it looked a little bit too small. This one right here, I've gotten like absolutely nothing out of this one. This one right here is a freeloader. Now, from my previous garden tours, the tomatoes have been a big highlight of the garden tour, but now I don't even think I'm going to use it as a highlight anymore. Because look at these things. I mean, the birds, I don't know if this is the birds. I'm thinking this is just their age because, look at this thing. Chicken feed for the chickens, but I will say, they are starting to slow back down, and they are showing signs of stopping. I mean, like, we've gotten like, I gotta say, like, a good, like, 8 inches of rain over the course of the last week and a half. So it might be just due to the fact that we're in such a insufferable drought until all of a sudden we're just flooded by rain. I'm thinking our drought's probably gonna, hopefully, by our local predictions, be eased by at least, like, late October, early November. But yeah, this one's a lot less affected, but I will say they are still a pain to have to deal with. And yeah, not even going to want to start with the cucumbers. There's nothing left, just rip them right out. But you know what, the fall garden, here we come. Alright, so now we are out of the trellis. We are now in the other tomatoes and basil. So the basil unfortunately did end up going to seed, because if I try to rip this thing off right here, it's as hard as stone. It won't come off. I just yanked the whole like thing off, but you know what, these don't really taste good anymore. We let it go to seed because, well, it's just a lot of work to keep basil from going to seed. And here we are, we have 4th of July's beef steaks, nothing left of those. That one's even molding. And these are the aromas and other stuff. I think they're ornamental or whatever they're called. Yeah, there's really nothing left of them. But you know what, I will say, I'm gonna attempt to grow them in my indoor garden this winter. Probably gonna end up planting it sometime like this weekend or next week. Now the peppers are still in the game, even though they're, the reason they're just falling off is because, well, we're not really in the garden because, well, the rain has been prohibiting us, and the fact that, well, you know, it's not really, like, we just went from warm to cold. It's not really proportional, but you know what? We might get a good, decent fall this year. I don't know. But anyway, so we have some peppers starting to come in. Most of them are done, but you know what? I'm thinking we're still gonna get a good, like, week and a half out of these. But these things, if it didn't get so cold in the winter, could probably go on until like November or December, just based on how healthy they're looking about now. Like, these are starting to look like look at this. This is starting to fall back. Well, this one right here really isn't. I'm sure a couple of leaves are, but that's just basically because of the wind. These are the orange peppers, and well, you know, they didn't really produce anything this summer. I'm honestly thinking it was like the dryness, and now that it's all of a sudden wet, they're suddenly rejoicing in the rain that we're getting. Now I'll show you the sunflowers. So I'm thinking I made a big mistake when I was throwing out broken seeds, because we have a random sunflower right here. This one's a lot smaller, but you know, this one's starting to come in, as you can see here. These aren't, I mean, they're kind of behind, but you know what, so be it. Nothing along this, except for some random weeds and some goldenrod. And now here comes the sunflowers, and if you thought that they only have one flower, think again, because this one has like 69 quadrillion flowers on it. So yeah, the bees, they're so just swarming that. It's a bumblebee. They have the honeybees and stuff like that just swarming this, to the point where there's literally, like, you know, to the point where literally you can catch it on camera. Usually you can't capture that crap on camera. This is a nice colored one. If you look up there, you'll notice that those colors. This one right here, this is what a stereotypical sunflower would look like. This is what you'd expect out of any sunflower field, except it's a little bit back. I will say that one's probably like maybe like 8 feet tall, and this one right here bent down. It looks like maybe the wind or something hit it, but you know, look at this nice sunflower right there. I'll probably bring it in after this video's done, put it in my room. This one's starting to bend back as well. I'm thinking it's just the oldness. And that one right up there, I don't even know if oldness is a word. That one up there appears to be about 10 to 12 feet tall. The first couple I planted, it came up. The rest of them, like a quarter of them came up. All right. Now I forgot to mention, there is one type of tomato out here that is still producing, and will probably produce until we finally get our first frost. These are the rogue tomatoes right here. Because if you look, well, our garden's right there, and the rogue tomatoes are right here. So I'm thinking that because we fed the chickens a lot of tomatoes at the end of the season last year, these started to come up about a month and a half ago or so. And well, pretty pleased because these look a lot more healthier than the other ones. So yeah, let me talk about not corn. I think that's already done, but I'll see if I can get one, and pumpkins. Now there are tons of weeds where the pumpkins currently are, but they are pretty noticeable from the outside. So here's one right here. It looks like something's starting to carve into it, but you know, we're probably gonna have to get these soon. There's some pumpkins in there, but I'm pretty sure you might be able to notice them. But the camera might not pick up on it just because, well, my camera's sort of a moron, okay? My camera doesn't pick up on some stuff. You know what? Cameras can be vicious D-heads sometimes. Alright. So we have some over here. And I think over here is where I actually saw that big pumpkin the other week, or it might have been over here. I don't know. Yeah, I think I see it. But we do have a couple of pumpkins, very clearly. And I think they're going to give us a really nice and early harvest this year. I don't know. I think there's like a bee stuck in my sweatshirt. So there's one right there. I'm gonna see if I can zoom in. Of course I can't. But it's still getting its color in. You know, that's pretty respectable. And there's one in here, but you know, I'm not walking through here to get to there. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to film like a short or something on it for that. And then there's several over here. So yeah, I will say pumpkins, I'm hoping to get a couple this year. We might end up selling a few for a couple dollars each. But yeah, the gourds, they go for $1 each, and I think we're about to make a killing on that this year.